Fiddlesticks, I think that the rework teaser trailer thingy was my favorite, even topping that of Warwick's that Riot's released, so I'm actually really excited to see what is going on here. First thing up is his passive. This is a harmless Scarecrow. Fiddlesticks' trinket is replaced by Scarecrow. Effigies that look exactly like Fiddlesticks. Effigies grant vision like regular wards. Enemy champions who approach an effigy activate it, causing the effigy to fake a random action, either basic attacking or casting Crowstorm, after which the effigy destroys itself. So obviously I think that that's super valuable. It's a nice little passive, but the random question that I guess that I have for it is how applicable is it at higher MMR? We saw something like LeBlanc ended up getting a passive similar to this at one point. Nico's passive is mostly not really usable, for instance, and so these passives that really prey upon people not paying attention or knowing what's going on are definitely a bit interesting. However, I think that there's more value due to the nature of how Fiddlesticks tends to conduct himself as a champion and the things that even higher level players have to play around. So I think that unlike LeBlanc or Fiddlesticks to a certain extent, I think that there's a lot more trickery that you can maybe do with Fiddle. Fiddle can hold up to 2 effigies at once. Effigy cooldown decreases and duration increase with Fiddlesticks' level at level 6. Placing an effigy reveals nearby wards for 6 seconds. That's pretty insane. So that's the second part of his passive, which I think that one's kind of nice. And I think that if that's true, then it's looking more like, right now, immediately in my mind, I have jungler and obviously support, but we'll see if maybe he has other potential roles. So now is the Q Terrify. Passive, while out of combat and unseen, if Fiddlesticks' abilities damage an enemy, they become terrified. So we'll just take a look at this one more time. Fleeing in the opposite direction, so it's really good to see that Fiddlesticks still has this fear available. Active, terrify the target and damage them based on their current health. That's a really important thing to remember, is that it's current, not max, and not missing. If this ability is cast on an enemy that was recently terrified, they take double damage instead of being terrified again. And so what I think the marker is for that is this little red ring that you can see around Garen. I assume this means that he takes the double damage. I think the fact that his Terrify passive is that while out of combat and unseen, if Fiddlesticks' abilities damage an enemy, they become terrified, fleeing in the opposite direction. I think that's pretty nuts. I think that that's really, really strong, that all of his abilities can apparently do that. So his W, his E, his Crowstorm, that's an insane little passive to have on also what I'm imagining is a select target ability that can potentially deal double damage. And so the ratio for it matters a lot, and also, like, where is Riot going with this? So obviously now we take a look at the W. This is Bountiful Harvest. So what we're going to see here is Fiddlesticks drains the soul of all nearby enemies, damaging them continuously over a few seconds and healing Fiddlesticks based on the damage dealt. The last tick damages and heals based on the target's missing health. So missing health, again, another really important keyword. So his Q has current health, his W has missing. If Bountiful Harvest fully channels or if no enemies remain to be harvested, Bountiful Harvest's cooldown is partially refunded. So I like the fact that they've really amplified his W, and I really like the fact that they're giving it more flexibility. I think the part where they add these extra damage modifiers are also really nice, but again, the ratios remain yet to be seen, so it's a little difficult to predict how viable is this really. The fact that it's AoE obviously puts into the ability to now play a solo lane, and as well as the jungle. So all of these things are still obviously on the menu. Top lane probably going to be a little less viable, I imagine, than perhaps mid lane, and we'll keep going into this. AD carry, probably not unless something is completely broken, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far. And again, those ratios are really